He had a terrible premonition that came true. Steve Irwin was a famous presenter of wildlife programs in Australia. He saved a lot of wild animals and was a co-owner of the Australian Zoo. He also created a nature conservation foundation and called it Wildlife Warriors. He wanted to film a tiger shark at the Great Barrier Reef. It was for a documentary series called Ocean's Deadliest. This was at Bat Reef, near Port Douglas, in Queensland. But the weather was not ideal, so they had to postpone the filming. Instead, he decided to use the opportunity to shoot some other animals. His daughter was making a documentary too, even though she was only 8 years old. It was called Bindi the Jungle Girl. He was in shallow water when he saw a venomous bull stingray. Stingrays are not dangerous to humans, and only attack if they feel threatened. Even if they do sting, then it is very rarely fatal. So Mr. Irwin held the stingray in his hands, and lifted it in front of the camera, to get a better shot of the animal. It must have been startled, and felt it was in danger because it stung him in the chest. It was very painful, but Steve knew that stingray poison is usually not deadly. So he and the cameraman continued for a minute to finish the segment. It was only when they returned to the boat that things went very wrong. He began to feel very sick and then he started to have trouble breathing. And suddenly he went into cardiac arrest. The crew members administered CPR, and informed the authorities what was happening. The crew were frantically trying to keep him alive, and encouraged Irwin by telling him to hang on until help arrived. But he knew it was hopeless. It is reported that his last words were, "No, I'm dying." They arranged to meet the rescue helicopter at an island called Low Isle. But when the paramedics arrived there, Steve Irwin was pronounced dead. It took less than an hour from when he was stung, for him to die. This was because the animal had stung him in his chest, and straight into his heart. He was 44 years old and had fulfilled his own prophecy of an early death. His wife, Terry, later said that Steve always knew he would die young. He spoke about it often to her, saying he could not imagine living to be an old man. But I don't think that even Steve Irwin would have dreamed that it would be a stingray that would eventually get him. Because out of all the dangerous animals he handled over the years, he would have expected it to be either poisonous snakes or crocodiles, which he handled frequently. He left behind his wife, Terry, and 2 very young children, Bindi and Robert. The Australia Zoo is now run by his wife and grown-up children. They have also continued with the conservation projects and educational programs. In Australia on the 15th of November every year, Steve Irwin Day is held in honor of his memory. There is also a bronze statue of him and his family, erected in honor of his work. For more facts about animals that attack people, click on the subscribe button.